Everyone, it's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5 on Thursday, January the 7th. Not that that really has anything to do with what is going on today, because it's been going on for a very, very long time, but it's never, the moment is the moment where we need to speak and communicate and talk about it. Just today I picked up my sign, no more lockdowns, and yeah, a little bit of a ruckus in the family because nobody, you're just kind of standing out a little bit if you go to put signs up on your lawn. And being in an urban environment or Toronto, there's a lot of people here and they have their idea on what's going on or have no idea what's going on beyond the usual mainstream media. But welcome to Live at 5, and I will bring up something new, something different for some people, and go into a bit of the news, a few things I want to speak about today, and then go into a handful of jokes. I just kept going through the calendar going, I like this one, so I definitely have a handful. So we'll go into that, because I think, if anything, no matter what the situation is, but yes, there are times where you just have to be very practical, especially if we're thinking emergency situations. It's everybody stay calm, right? And this is very important, but to have a sense of humor is going to be important, whatever language, whatever word we may have, but it's a tool to not take things seriously, to have a sense of humor, and to bring in the fun, the things that you like to do. Absolutely. Not to lose track of that. This is the harmony, the balance that is required, because you surely could be taken down into having every bone in your body be serious. No question about it. Okay, let's jump into something new. Now, I have spoken about this before. Who knows when? Months ago, a year ago, but I have spoken about it before. But I like it on many fronts, this particular, what I'm going to speak of. And this is shaga, or chaga, whatever you want to call it, however you want to do it, tomato, potato. It's chaga. And I'm going to show you as it would look like coming off of the tree. And then I'll talk a little bit about it. But it is a, you can say medicinal, that makes it sound important, but let's just say it is something that grows. They call it a mushroom, but it is really, really hard. So what you have on the inside is you have the gold, and then on the outside, as you would see it on the tree, would be black. And so you can see the birch tree right here. This is, I kept this piece. I didn't chop it up or use it, because I like using it as a, just so people know what it looks like on the tree, because quite frankly, a lot of people are eating the foods that they're eating, but they kids don't even know what a cantaloupe would look like as a cantaloupe. They may know as orange chunks in a fruit salad, if they even go that far. But definitely, this is what it would look like if it was off the tree. Now, it's not that big. If I put my hand in front of it, it's not that big. So they absolutely come in different sizes, huge ones, maybe small ones. But you have to harvest it properly. Otherwise, if you take it off the tree in its entirety, it's gone. I don't know, maybe it'll come up again, but maybe not as easily. So the idea is to leave some of it on the tree, which would make sense. I mean, if I were to pull out every single stalk of my raspberry bush out here, there's a good chance there won't be any more raspberry bushes, unless I throw some raspberries in there or I plant new ones. So it's very, very important to do that. Now, birch trees aren't in every area of the world, so colder climates is where they grow. Russia is very familiar with this. When I did a piece in my book about antioxidants, I explored and looked up charts and, as they call it, the antioxidant numbers that they have that will tell you which ones are high in it. And it's true, blueberries are up there for sure, but not like chaga. not like chaga. Chaga is way up there. But you know what's way up there with antioxidants? Actually, the cinnamon, the spices are very high. But if you look at it per volume, if you were to have I'm not sure if it's 100 grams or something like that of cinnamon, which you won't get anywhere near. I mean, what do we put mostly in recipes? A teaspoon. So you're not going to get anywhere near a half a cup of cinnamon. But as the way chaga and is brewed, yes, you will. 1 cup. But this is the highest that is known in the values. They call it ORAC levels, but this is the highest chaga tea. Now, the reason why I like to talk about it too is people like brews, right? Coffee, I'm going to call it a brew. But coffee is an artificial stimulant, not of the healthy stimulants for our system for many reasons. So chaga is very earthy. If you brew it long enough, it's very dark, very tasty, very earthy. It takes a little bit, but it's not bitter like coffee. And there's a reason why coffee is bitter. So why not have something that's there? So this is just a little bag. I mean, the reason why I'm bringing it out is because somebody came to pick up a pound today. Did I find that in Ontario? This one is from Ontario, Sharon. Yes, this piece is because I was getting it from a forestry guy north of Timmins. So while he was in the forest, he was collecting chaga, and we do an exchange for the seal oil for the chaga. But the one that I have here, which I'm going to show you the bigger, larger bag. Why not? And this is from the New Brunswick. So all across, Ontario, Newfoundland, they have it. Quebec, New Brunswick, where the birch trees are. It's all there. It's not. I haven't heard too much about it out west. Maybe because they have more coniferous mountains. Not quite the same. But wild Canadian chaga. Now they do a lot of mushrooms, Fiddlehead Haven Forest Products. They actually give a lot of information too as well, and they have the most decent prices as far as buying bulk. So I buy bulk and then I sell it for a reasonable price, whether it's just here, people, neighborhood, or at shows. When I would do it, I would just have it there. But I would package it up in about 2 ounces, $10, and believe it or not, that would make 4 or 5 pots. When I mean pots, liters, 2 liters, let's say 3 liters of chaga tea, and you would just reheat it up, and then you could use the chunks again and again and again until the waters is clear, basically, and that's usually about 3 or 4 times, and then you could beautifully just throw it out, and there's like compost. But you do have to simmer it, so there's a brew it. You have to brew it. Simmer it's probably not the right word, because there's no simmering, there's no boiling. It's best the longer you do it for more antioxidant properties. So a lot of this has been researched at the lab, and I got that. But I wanted to talk about that because it's an alternative to other antioxidants. And again, it's very, very, very high in antioxidants. And sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 cups a day. I'll go through it, and then maybe I won't have it for a month. But as far as I can understand, there's no issue with it whatsoever. No issue. It's not a stimulant. It's not a laxative. It's not going to interfere with the nutrients that you're consuming, your food. Unlike coffee, coffee at 1 ounce. If you read the earlier research, which I so happened to stumble on when I was doing my book, some very old material, and they did the early research that they used to do back in the 1800s with coffee was only 1 ounce, and even 1 ounce caused the blood pressure to move. And it was quite obvious from the number. So they weren't quite sure what to make of it. But here's the other thing. In another book I was reading, when it came to people not being well, this is a book for people to read. You're at home. You've got to understand there's certain things that are in there. Doctor can't always make your home visit. We're talking 100 years ago or more. And so in there they would say, stop coffee immediately. And most of, if you read through the conditions until the end, one of the suggestions was not to have coffee for another several weeks. So people who were getting sick, and I'm talking even just the flu, they were being told to get off coffee. And they were being told to stay off coffee when they kind of went through what you needed to read and what to do thereafter, to stay off coffee for weeks later. This should be a clue. So this is practical information. That's why I talk about practical. I love just practical information. And many people over the years, as coffee is one of my things. It's just one of my things that I just continue to communicate on, because I think it is important information that people understand. The doctors have even said to them, how many coffees are you drinking? And somebody will say like 7 or 3, whatever, grande, whatever you want to call it. And they were saying you're drinking too much coffee. And the medical doctors have been telling this to people as well. So in some ways, if we think practically and we think marketing and we think follow the money and who's sharing what, is there some benefit to coffee? I'm going to say yes. There are some. If you need to, I guess, kick into action for whatever reason, I know people are using it on a daily basis, but let's just say once in a blue moon you have to kick into action, that would be a good time to have coffee. I would say the story to people, listen, if I'm traveling around the world and I've got to go and present the next day, and be it sleeping on a plane isn't ideal, and I needed that boost. Now, it wouldn't be a natural boost. I may even go for sugar first, but it would be, coffee is there. It's a tool. It would be a tool that I know of, black. I'd probably drink it black, probably try to get organic, probably get any of those other stuff with less chemicals or whatever. I'd probably try to do that. If I could get green bean coffee, I probably would do that first. But that, so it's a tool. And apparently in my readings, the shaman and other people would use it to get them, would help them to stay up. Help them to stay up at night. I guess maybe they were doing some meditations and maybe needed the stimulation to stay up, and maybe it stay up all night. Who knows? I don't know. But surely the Colombians, and what I've heard and read of in South America, where coffee, one of the places it comes from, they would actually sun dry it. So in actual fact, they didn't have what we call the burnt brew, the roasted burnt beans, and then just run water over them to take that burnt bitter feeling. How many people actually like burnt toast? People enjoy that concentrated taste, and that's really what these highly roasted coffee beans are actually doing in the sense of flavor and taste. That's why it's bitter. It's not good that way. It's supposed to be a good anti-inflammatory. Well, there's many things that are anti-inflammatory. A lot of things are anti-inflammatory. Sleeping is anti-inflammatory. So when I see research about coffee being in a good light, I question it. I question it some more, because it's a big business. Huge business. We've got businesses that were built on coffee to start with. And just think of, it's great to be social, yes. And they surely make a lot of money out of coffee. It's a market, it's a commodity now. That's how big it's grown. It's on the commodities market. And trading and things like that. But I would just say that no matter what you read about coffee, in essence, plants are plants. In essence, I'm not sure how they're doing the research or where are they getting it from. There's probably properties in there, but when you take it and you burn the cajibers out of it, and then you pour water through it to take that burnt flavor, you burn some toast, and you're gonna get a similar flavor, concentrated flavor. This is what concentrates. This is why the roasting is an important piece of it. But again, in Colombia, they would have green beans, they would sun dry it, and they'd have smaller amounts, and nowhere near what we're doing with the coffee as they've done. Sugar, yeah, why do you have to have sugar? Why do you have to have milk in it? To take away the almost disgusting flavor of it, although you can grow to like it, because you can see that happening with a lot of people. Beer's disgusting, and then people grow to like it. Wine, alcohol is another it's somewhat bitter in a lot of ways. It's not sweet by any means. And, you acquire a taste for it. But the thing with coffee is a caffeine in itself is a drug, right? So remember, it's a drug. Chaga, the chaga, I meant, sorry. Oh, okay. Yes, sorry, Sharon. I'm not going there. Yeah, the chaga is anti-inflammatory for sure. With it, anything you get antioxidants, anything that's allowing the body to be flooded in with good stuff, absolutely. Well, thanks for pointing out that, Sharon. But needless to say, we have that. So that's chaga. That's a something different, something for people, something different. You might have never heard about chaga. I'll post a link below regarding that. Let's get into the news. Let's get into the news. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the protests. I didn't watch too much about it. That came in Washington, but things will kind of probably come in as far as information. But practically speaking, it doesn't make sense that you go and you interfere with a meeting. It does not make sense at all. You have a meeting on election, and you have all the patriots going. I don't know whose idea it was to actually go in and disrupt the meeting, but this meeting was supposed to be allowing to see what was going to be kind of happening as far as with the election, maybe it's fraud talk, whatever it was. And here, what you want your patriot, as they call it, and you want for Trump to win, and you're actually interfering and disrupting, doesn't make sense. So things don't make sense on that. So practically speaking, peaceful protest doesn't mean that you steal things, doesn't mean that you wreck things, it doesn't mean that people get harmed. But at the end of the day, people can get away from us. We know that just even in certain circumstances, like there's triggers. And when you get a lot of people together, there can be follow the leader mentality because of the way things just move very quickly. And that's why in any case of an emergency or anything, leadership is so important. The leadership will make or break what happens next, and it should have been very well communicated as to what they need to do or not need to do, or what what they were there for. That should have been top of mind, and nothing of the nature would have happened unless there were unless there was something nefarious kind of happening there. So I didn't really want to talk about that, but I do want to talk about the math and numbers. Practically speaking, numbers don't lie. If you get these numbers directly off of certain sites, then how are they to lie? I'm going to speak specifically about one particular country, and this is Ireland. I love Ireland. Yes, I have some ancestors from way back, a couple hundred years ago, that came from Ireland. But needless to say, it was just an easier example if I'm going to be sharing this with you. So really what they do is they did a map, charted certain numbers about cases, positive cases, positive cases in hospitals, and people in ICU. Now, typically, I'm going to post this link, but typically, let's make sense. If you have positive cases, you usually get the positive cases, as he pointed out, and then then people kind of make their way to the hospital. It's almost like you're feeling sick first, right? You have to feel that sickness first. You're not going to go, I know I'm going to be sick in whatever time, and you show up at the hospital, just wait, I'm going to get sick. No. So the way he was kind of correlating, let's stick with me, everything was happening at the same time. Positive cases were coming in, people in the hospital, and people in ICU. It doesn't happen that quickly. Usually things show up this way, and we even know it if there's something spreading, right? A few people, and then you get more of it. But what was happening, the peak, or let's say the sharp incline, was happening all at the same time. What this means is they are taking more multiple testing in the hospitals themselves. That's what it means. And it makes complete sense. So there's even more questions to come at the numbers. Where do they come from? Are they from people in clinics, people showing up to be tested, or are they taking multiple tests? Like, can you imagine taking a test, same person every day? Every day. So if you have one person and this one person has a few tests over the course of a few days, so of the 100 cases or positive tests, are they a whole lot less people? See, I even got questions even from him showing this. And this is Ivor. I'll post it down below. Don't want to kind of go off of here. But wonderful things coming out of Ireland. There was actually another short video which I will put up. I'm not sure if I have it right here, but it is about going to, let's say, it's our equivalent, their equivalent to Health Canada, and demanding, asking for information on, do you have the isolated virus? Now, what does an isolated virus mean? It's almost, let me just kind of come up with a quick analogy here. It's like saying you have a smoothie, and you're saying, yep, smoothie has peach in it. But meanwhile, there's cranberry, there's spinach, there's whatever, and we're not sure if the peach is there or not because you have so many other things in there, and we're not quite sure if the peach is doing anything, really. So you have to isolate it in order to know, is it the peach bringing in the problem? And so if you have so many things in the mix, like a smoothie, you don't get that proof, if that makes any sense. And of course, if there's no isolated virus, so they came back after the deadline to provide information, and they didn't have it. Check, don't have it, don't have it, don't have this, don't have that, don't have this. And they knew what questions to ask and what they were looking for. So it's a short video on that. I'm going to post that up as well. And I think that was probably a week or so ago, 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, that this occurred. And this is where we are around the world, to ask questions. So when I talk about certain events, or this event happening, and for a reason other than what we're being told, we need to question that, because as I say, this is like a puzzle. If the pieces are so fragmented, this is when you open up a puzzle box, all the pieces are fragmented. And the only way you're going to see the picture is if it is put together. Now, typically there is a clue, which is there's a picture on the box of the puzzle. But what if there's no picture on the box? And whatever has been fed through whatever means, whether it's films or whether it's mainstream media or whatever from doctors because they've been told it, however it filters in, we may have an image of how things work, but it might not be the right image. So if we're thinking about all these pieces in front of us and we have been given information, we may very well build the puzzle. Let's just say the puzzle is fluid and can change. We may build the puzzle as they say it is supposed to be built, and it's entirely, our whole thought system is based on just that. But if you kind of step back far enough, you can start to see a different picture. Okay, different picture, but there's still pieces and fragmented pieces, and they're not quite together. In fact, you might not get it entirely until you kind of then build. Now, you won't know how big it is until you start. What do usually people do? They usually do the outline of the puzzle first. They give some sort of a framework for where the puzzle, other odd-shaped or multi-shaped or whatever pieces that go in. Like, you have a frame. And this is how I look at this event. I look at this event is there is no picture, there are pieces, and if we work in the way of energy, and everything is energy, we can start to project or put out there to each other and as to how it should look like in the future. This is where the Sapiens book comes in once again. It is telling us what the future is going to hold. I don't like the future. Part machine, do as you're told. They know better than what you know. What you know for yourself, like all that CRAP stuff. And so here's the thing with the puzzle. How we build our puzzle is going to be determinant on the pieces that we get and how open we are to the pieces when they come in. If you haven't watched, I'll put it again underneath them, the Catherine Austin Fitz, if my memory serves me correctly. If you have not watched that, that will give you an understanding of what they want to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it'll give you an understanding. And the idea is to always fall back and imagine what you actually do want. That is a critical piece. That's a critical piece here, is to fall back on that. So if we spend too much time doing research and building the puzzle as they, whoever they are, then you're going to get a different picture, and that's the picture that's going to be on your mind. That's the thing you're going to think about, talk about, and you're going to be talking about exactly what they want you to be talking about. And what I'm saying is to come away from that, spend a certain amount of your time every day, more and more. Take whole days off like I do. Just, forget it. I'm not going to read anything. I'm not going to. There is a pull to be in the now, but you could be spending all your time going into information when that's not the balance that we need. But it's good to be informed, yes, and I really like the Corbett report. I mean, I've heard them reference him, and I've been watching him for a while, and as he says, and I've said this to clients too, I can't be your crutch. I can't be, I'd rather teach you, that saying, give a fish to a person and they'll eat for a day. Teach a person how to fish and they'll feed and live and survive for a lifetime. And that's an important piece. Because once you believe or start to believe certain things are the way they are and can't think for yourself, can't figure it out with the ways, just having the understandings being given to any of us, and to have those as tools. Those understandings are tools to be able to decipher. And he was talking about, I think it was propaganda or something like that. He had a series, and he was stopping that series because he was feeling that people were leaning on him and relying on him to decipher things. And in his, I think he said over 2 years that he was doing this particular series of videos, was mostly to teach people how to do it themselves. And this is important. This is why I don't know if I'll ever teach YDAN exercises in a gym or in a thing, because the idea with YDAN exercises, be it they're a couple thousand years old, is to learn it yourself, to do it yourself in your own space, first thing in the morning, bring in the focus that it gives you, stretch the body. You're supposed to do it first thing in the morning anyway, so I wouldn't want people to get up, they're going to have the coffee, they're going to show up in the gym or show up in the wherever yoga studio and want to do this exercise. No, it's about doing it in a relaxed environment, which is when you get up, you have some warm water, warm lemon, whatever, something, so hydrate, and then you do these 15-20 minute easy to do exercises, even if you're not feeling well. So I'd rather teach people, and then the understandings of the YDAN, and then they have it as a tool to move the body, get the energy flowing, get the circulation flowing, focus, and for all of that means for our health. So teaching is important because I've said this before, we need not worship anything, and we need not rely or lean on people or others to get continuous support and information from them. To tap into your own higher self, to tap into your own intuitive and gut, that's the practice. Not about listening to other people decipher and saying what's coming and feel very relieved because okay, this is what they said. Like people like Sasha Stone are wonderful people, very intuitive, but also have had the experience, and he can come in and he's really guiding in a lot of ways. But to worship somebody like that, to rely on somebody like that for information, is moving away from the point of everyone individual, is to self, do it yourself, do it yourself. There's many examples in life, well, if I want it done right, I've got to do it myself. It's just a little example, but a very effective example, to close that off. So Ireland, going to post those two links. The other thing, so they're just keeping going with this whole thing. I've got my lockdown sign, no more lockdowns up on my, I think I'd rather not put an anti-mask around, I don't like labels, but that is just too crazy for some people. Vitamin D, I do want to talk about vitamin D here briefly, because vitamin D, people, is something that your body produces as a result of healthy habits. Okay, let me, so sunshine, light, sunshine, light. It's a good thing to be outside. It's a good thing to get those things, whether it's just on your face or your hands. And if this evidence, I can't see this being wrong, this is kind of in line with all, we had the big vitamin D craze, oh, you have enough vitamin D. Now, vitamin D has a range, and it's quite a wide range, and everybody should understand, if you're getting tests for vitamin D, that you actually ask what your number is. I mean, many people don't ask for their number, but get that number so that you understand where they are on it, because there's a huge range there, and apparently the higher the range of the vitamin D, that you have D3 or cholecalciferol, it's a long name, but then you have a less chance of this, less chance of this now, and less chance of this. So cancer is one of the things that have come up as a result of that. But to understand cancer, you really have to understand the stages of disease, because it is the last stage of disease. Not going to go into that. But vitamin D, in this case, from the evidence of this particular study, is showing, and I'm going to show, there's a video on it, but then I actually looked up the actual link. I love doing that. Just, I see them, they post the link, or maybe sometimes just headlines, and I'll go and search them up so I can see the article or the research itself. I like it when they have the published research links there, showing that. But vitamin D, in this case, in this event, they were doing studies about people who, I guess maybe they had COVID-19 or tested or in the hospitals or whatever, and they had low vitamin D, very low vitamin D, versus Japan, who's hardly had anything. They are known to have higher vitamin D. Now, where do you get your vitamin D from? Well, you can get it from livers of fish. You can get it from fat, and I have the seal oil, seal blubber. The vitamin D, there's plant, but mushrooms, we have to be careful. Plant, we need to convert it. But the best source is the sunshine. But here's a couple of things, and I always like to talk about vitamin D, this won't be the last time, is that what we're doing in our lifestyle by taking a shower, lathering soap, washing our hands multiple times, our face at least twice a day. Not everybody does, though, as I'm starting to communicate and talk about over the years with people about this. So people are going taking showers, but they're only using soap on their important bits, as some may say, and so then you're not washing off the oils, because when you have the vitamin D, it's not vitamin D coming from the sun, but you have the UVB rays, am I saying that right, and the cholesterol, believe it or not, in your body, it's in your skin, it's in those oils. That's what it takes to make vitamin D. Probably not only that, the mechanisms in your body require energy. So if you have low energy because you're sick or because you just have low energy, coffee will reduce your energy, by the way. It's an artificial false energy stimulant, but at the end of the day, it's not good for your overall natural energy. So energy is required. So it's not just the sunshine. It's also not washing your body till it's squeaky clean. That's probably the best way to describe it. But what if we can make vitamin D through our eyes? What if we can make vitamin D based on our hair? And what do people do? Again, squeaky clean hair. I don't think it's through that, but we have cholesterol, and this is where it's important to note that the cholesterol levels that they're lowering in people right now are too low. They're too low. We need cholesterol. We'll produce cholesterol. But what if you're taking in meds and then you keep lowering what your body wants to produce, and then it has to produce it anyway because it needs to produce the vitamin D, and then you don't have the energy to produce more cholesterol. You see where I'm going with this. Energy is important when it comes to all the bodily functions. And what is the top thing that people will say to me? And a couple of fronts. One, when I'm doing symptoms, low energy, low energy. Where's your energy at a scale of, no, they never have zero energy, but let's say 1 to 10. It's always on the lower side. So when they're going through their health conditions, always on the lower side. The other side was when I was doing field research with the seal oil, with the omega-3s. That was 60% of the time the significant noticeable difference for the people on the study. That was clear. That is one of the significant noticeable things. And that's a good thing to bring your energy up naturally, that the body has it there. But we only have so much energy, so you really have to understand lifestyle and sleep and rest and eat more food. You need more energy. So there's all this wonderful balance. I love to teach my clients to understand this part of it. It's very, very important, energy. So I'll put that study up there, but the idea is I've been hearing this isn't the only study about many of the people that are not well have very low vitamin D. And I don't think it's just for the flu or this whatever, part of the flu, the coronaviruses that people get colds and stuff. It brings down your energy because the body is dealing with things. And but it's important to honor that and to stay home, because if you don't, it's not ideal for all the other processes that need to happen in your body. So vitamin D tends to be on the low side as people are getting tested. Even vegans, even people who are on the healthiest diets are recognizing that they're not getting or not producing the amount of vitamin D. That's just the studies on the vitamin D. So that is an important thing. Never lose sight of that. It's not the magic bullet, people. It's just nature working at its best. Simple as that. I don't mind saying it that way because that's the truth of the matter. That's the truth. You want to get all, do that. But your source of vitamin D, that becomes next important to understanding vitamin D, how we get vitamin D, how we can raise our optimum levels is now, how do we do that? Okay, besides sunshine, our body producing, have enough energy, is not those white little tablets. Although if you think you're getting vitamin D, the placebo effect kicks in, gotta love it anyway. But those little white, powdery, bleached, highly processed, and then emulsifiers, that's not natural vitamin D. It is not natural vitamin D. Natural vitamin D is in an oil. It's in an oil. There are fat-soluble nutrients. It's not even a vitamin. Vitamin D. D is actually a non-steroidal hormone. But these nutrients come in through the fats, through the oils that you would be consuming. And they help with the fat-soluble nutrients, as they talk about, which then help with the absorption of minerals. So you can see there's a connection. There's always connections. That's the truth of the matter. If something's way out here in La La Land somewhere, and it doesn't tie to anything else, then I would have to question. There's got to be somehow it fits in like a puzzle. It's a piece to the puzzle, so it's got to kind of fit in there. Let's see what else there was. There was something else I was going to talk about. So friend Michael, Facebook friend, known Michael Ballard for a long time. We presented together at a conference, but I've seen him over the years, and definitely on Facebook more than anything. But he posted something, a psychologist expressing growing concern with mindfulness. Now, I'm going to go off here because I want to read something, but I'm going to frame this for you because quite often when it comes to reading things, we have to be able, there's usually an amount of understanding before you read it to be able to put it into context, or in the big puzzle of life here with all the pieces. And in here, this particular thing here, now a couple things come to mind. The psychologist expressed growing concern with mindfulness meditation, and the subtitle is, "It's not bare knuckle, that's for sure." Yeah, language is language on one hand, and I mean, who's going to read? I don't want to read 20 pages in any article. So the idea is there's some concern. That's what you need to understand. Concern. That's it. Not trouble, not not anything like that. But psychologists are concerned. Now, part of what they're saying in here comes into light that health is a business. Okay, anything can be made into a business, and then people may lose sight of what the purpose of it is, and take advantage of. Yeah, that's possible. So some of in here was that mindfulness. Okay, being mindful. Practical in its sense of being mindful of others, mindful of what you're doing, mindful of your day, mindful of what you need to do, mindful is there. So it's really just being quiet, and there's nothing wrong with being quiet, or quieting your mind, or quieting your body. The idea here is it comes into saying that some proponents saying it can treat anxiety, cancer, and everything in between. And it is known out there that medical doctor can treat. Not me, I'm not a holistic practitioner. I can't treat, but they can treat. So the idea is when and anything comes up and they start saying it can help with this, it can treat this, especially things like cancer, which is a labeled medical condition, then people can speak out about it. In this case, professionals like psychologists. So the idea is, maybe there's not enough studies, but from what I'm hearing in some of the notes, there's been studies on it. I haven't done my research on it. To me, it's just very simple. If you're meditating, you're quieting your mind, you're quieting your body, giving yourself some time to just be still. Simple as that. And being mindful, well, to me, that's just being aware. Be mindful of your body, being mindful of symptoms, being mindful. It's just as simple as that. So if there are certain people that are saying it can do this and can do that, it's like anything else. It's even like the seal oil. When people ask me, what's it going to do for me? What do I say back to them? And I've been saying this for several years or more. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do for you. I can tell you what it's done for other people. That's it. So at times, if we're jumping the gun and saying, "Whoa, it's going to give you this, it's going to give you that," we don't really know. We don't really know. I love the optimistic and the positive of that, but we don't really know. So that's the truth of the matter, and it's really more of an evolved understanding. That's what I want to say about it, because I was probably in the same boat as well. You want to give optimism. You want to make them feel like they're going to get something, and all of that. So I've been there. I understand that. But the truth of the matter is, I really don't know what mindfulness do, or what the seal oil will do, or if you go and spend 10 minutes of sun, getting sunshine every day. I don't really know. So this is really all this is about. But they do point out that despite the criticisms of mindfulness, major corporations are starting to incorporate it, right? They're starting to incorporate what it is, and that's important. And the British government is giving school children mindfulness training, so we have this we're bringing in. So I don't know what they're teaching. I can't comment on this because I do not know what they're teaching in the schools, how they're teaching. I'd have to sit in and understand what it is that they're what there is that they're teaching and how they're proposing it and what they're saying about it, to really understand. Now, there is some evidence, and they put that in italics, that mindfulness-based therapies can help people with certain issues like substance use, but it's very limited. And it really doesn't matter if it's limited, to tell you the truth. If it works and if it's truth, then it's truth. I never try to put a limit. I mean, if it's just very simple, what we got to have, what takes, what would it take to convince somebody? Well, quite often, for some people, you'll never convince them because they have strong beliefs in one way. And if mindfulness is how can I say it? Is it, if it's eating it, if the psychologists are feeling threatened by how mindfulness is being used, and it may or may not be true that they're getting less business from it. I don't know. But if they're threatened by it, I mean, this could be why they have. And it's only a concern. They're just bringing it up. This article is an article. And, yeah, so it doesn't work. Here's the thing. Expectations come into this. And I don't know how many times I have heard, I can't meditate, I can't meditate, I can't meditate. There is definitely understanding and more involved in the quieting the mind scenario than some people may think. So the idea is that if people force it, if they control it, it's mechanical. And I've talked about this difference between mechanical and being, just experiencing it at a level. It's just organic, if I have to say it that way. So there you go. Hey, it doesn't do what you think it's supposed to do. Well, then usually it can be looked at by the people maybe who have, we have more understanding about certain things and why that is. But anyway, that's that. I'm happy to post it so that you actually get to see it. The last thing I wanted to talk about, let's go back into here. The last thing, video was removed for fits. Well, Jack, maybe this one is still working. I don't know. It almost seems to me that this video has actually been posted on a number of platforms. So that's what I'm thinking, Jack. It's been on a number of platforms. I think I'm on, I can't remember what it is, BitChute or something like that. It seems to me that video is. So I'll put that link up there. And yeah, Dr. Cowan. Okay, it's great to explain the COVID isolation and purification mystery. Listen, Sharon, if you have that link for that, feel free to post it. Absolutely. That would be great. So the last thing I want to bring up is, and it keeps coming up, and that's why, I saw it, somebody that was client a long time ago, but he's, part of this, if I said the organization, you would. And he was saying on LinkedIn that he's being part of a book club. And book clubs. So let's talk a little bit, let's unpack book clubs in a way that may be helpful. The idea is, what I've learned even through reading the Sapiens book is, when I watch things now, I study them. When I read books now, it's almost like more of a study than it is, okay, I'm just reading it for the sake of reading it, that. And what I learned through Sapiens is people were reading books, but they don't remember what they like about it. They remember they like it, and they are passionate about that answer. What did you think about it? I loved it. They're very passionate. But yet they could not speak to what they loved about it. Now, there's a lot of information in there, no question about it. I could have burnt the book 100,000 times, because it's crazy. The seeding of the mind at the end with AI technology, playing with humans, just not the deal that I would get into. So book clubs. So let's talk about book clubs. Let's talk about more of, does it have to be a book club, or is it just a discussion where you have people that have read the same book, and you come and you talk about what you liked about it or what you thought about it. You get the native talking stick, so everybody gets to talk without being interrupted. then you can have a discussion about it. You know, certain things may come out of what people are sharing, and then you kind of put it up. Okay, this came out. Let's talk about that. Let's unpack it a bit. And I'm doing 2 book clubs this year. One doesn't have a start date. The other one has a start date. The Awakening Book Club, I'll put the link below, but the idea is these books open up a number of things for people I can't begin to tell you. The reason a book club is helpful in this case is stay on track to keep reading it and to be able to be supported and have the unpacking and discussions. That's why I'm doing it once again. In IAWESOME, the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery, I'm actually going to read it. So it's a little bit more detailed in that one. But there's a monthly membership for that. It's free in there. And there's many other courses in there. But I'm doing it differently for that one where I'm reading it. I'll unpack it differently. But at a simple level, it's reading a book and discussing the book. And a reason why I kind of feel that that might be helpful is that you're hearing other people's perspectives, you're hearing certain things about it that you may not have thought of, and you're then learning new things, you're learning together, you're learning with each other. And in doing the book club or a book club for the last handful of years I've witnessed that experience. And then, you know, I'm able to interject certain things or ask questions, you know, to kind of, you know, if people are at a space where they're understanding it at a certain level, then with a little bit more questions, you know, we just open it up a little further, And when people are ready, they are ready. And so if people are only going to join this book club if they're ready and the timing is right. And I'm well aware of that. So this is not about convincing people to do anything. You, I, or anybody else. The idea is when people are ready. Now, at some point, there can be intuitive kind of gut going, I don't want to, but you know, the altered ego comes in, or the negative ego, or some part of the mind goes, well, I didn't have a good how can I say it, a good experience in the last book club. So now book clubs, you know, I'm just giving you an example of certain things that can kind of come in. So then, you know, I'm not really wanting to do that. But in the end of the day, it's give things another chance. That's what that is. So whether it's a book club or something else, you just give things another chance. But there are books out there that are not your typical books, that bring a lot to the table. And when you stumble upon those books, I mean, I did through, you know, my teachers and various other people that were in the metaphysical world, and that it's a world on its own, but in understanding that, that's where I was able to have these certain books. And I have to say, they're not your typical personal growth books, your spiritual books. They're your Deepak Chopra's, they're whatever. They're not them at all. But they have information in there and understanding in there that are unlike what we are typically fed. And there's much. I mean, there's much. They're not the magic bullet. They're not everything. There's not one book I know of, even in health. When people ask me, "Whoa, what book should I read, Cheryl?" I couldn't give them a book. I couldn't. There's just, and then for every book that I have read, there are certain things I wasn't so strong on. And so it was almost like, wow, I mean, I could recommend book because I know people are looking at me as you know going to be giving them information. But really, the few books that I found that I would recommend were the ones that are written that I had studied for my book. Those are the books that I would be passing along. Now, the way I wrote my book was in a sense that it's a piece of the puzzle. Once again, piece of the puzzle. It's not everything. You can't fit everything into a number of books because of the uniqueness that we all have. Very much uniqueness comes into play. You couldn't I couldn't even stand up in front of 10 people, even if I did some sort of a poll and figured out that they have all of this in common, and they all have headaches, and they all live in, and say that what I would be sharing with them, they all should be doing. I couldn't even know. That's not, and that is one thing the doctors of the past said. Get to know the patient. Get to know the patient. And in some ways with self-mastery, get to know yourself. Now, there's more to that to explain. Yeah, how do you do that? What does that look like? What does that mean when these things happen? Absolutely, there's more to unpack. I get it. There's that. Let's go into the jokes. Not to just kind of stop it there, but we got to stop it at some point. And we're getting on to an hour. So let's get into some fun stuff. I like some of these. These are, there's so many good puns and jokes and stuff that are lightness. Okay, so here we go. My first job was working in a juice factory, but I got canned. Couldn't concentrate. My first job was working in a juice factory, but I got canned. Couldn't concentrate. Why did the donut visit the dentist? Why did the donut visit the dentist? To get a new filling. Ha 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 ha. Wonder if that's a jelly filling or a custard filling, but anyway. Next. What do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? What do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? A thesaurus. Haha. Now, I know I have two more. I have a handful. What do you call four matadors in quicksand? What do you call four matadors in quicksand? Cuatro cinco. There you go. And cinco not spelled as the number, but S-I-N-K-O. Last one. Need an ark to save two of every animal? Need an ark to save two of every animal? I know a guy. Noah being Noah's Ark. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I'll post them up in the next day or two. So that's it for today. I will post the links up, and so you can have a look at them. And all Live at 5, so there's going to be a number of links. I mean, if you want to explore any of them, and some of them might be from you. So thank you. Keep sharing what you're sharing. There's still much to look at, but I'm just going to kind of roll and dive with certain things. Otherwise, I may be speaking here for 4 hours and having spent 4 hours watching different things, but just trying to get through different understandings, so we're all not necessarily on the same page, but we're all more in a better place, in a better place as things kind of unfold. So thanks for coming on. Good to see everyone, although I can't see you, but I wish I could see you. So there you go. I'm going to be hosting an event tonight at 8 o'clock for the book club. You're welcome to come. If I put the link below, just come on board. I just do it through a couple of meetup groups that I run, but or even send me a private message if you want to come on board. So it's about 45 minutes, and going to talk through a couple of things, just talk about more and ask questions, get to answer questions as well that people may have, because quite often people think it's a big commitment, but I have to tell you, the books are 120 pages, 130, 140. They get a little longer, and there's 9 books, but it's good to know have all your questions answered, so we can go from there. So take care, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. enjoy it like you can. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, what would you do if you're not working for any company? That's still a little bit homework there, hanging out there. Love to hear what that would be, even if you just private message. What would you do if you were not working for anybody else, just working for yourself? What would that be? Look forward to hearing about it. So take care until Live at 5 next time. Enjoy, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.